Hey folks, welcome to Obscurities of Miniatures with your host, High Lord Tamberlane, doing as usual, looking at obscure miniatures, obviously. And no, this is not the miniature in question today, but this is a box that came to me from Durgin Paint Forge. Durgin Paint Forge has had a couple of successful Kickstarters now, and I figured I would give their stuff a look because somehow I completely missed it the first time, which is really rare when it comes to miniature Kickstarter. So anyway, they had a successful Dwarven Kickstarter a little whiles back, so I grabbed a couple models. They have their current second government. As I'm filming this, is in the process of finishing, and they have a single box. That's kind of odd. Okay, so I ordered a few miniatures. Let's hope that they're all in there. Yeah, okay, cool. So their current campaign for the second government is finishing up, and probably by the time I post this, it'll be done. But, you know, at least I'm going to put a link down here so you guys can take a look at it. And I was very intrigued with their models. And let's take a look at the first one now. The first one is obviously inspired by a certain street fighting character. It's Akuma, obviously, if you can't figure that out. Except as a dwarf. Very nice. And he's got a animal skin cloak to billow for effect dramatically in the wind. I really like the facial features. Really deeply cut, so it's going to be nice and easy to give it a wash and have all that show up. That's our first model there. Looks like I only ordered 4. I thought I ordered 5, but I'll double check. Alright, second model we have is a Dwarven Monk. And this is something that I just don't see often enough. I don't really see dwarf monks, street fighting monks, often enough. Now, he does have a pair of open hands, but he also has a hammer of all things. 2 hammers, actually. Interesting choice. So if you want to go hand-to-hand combat, you can, or if you want to give him some weapons, you can as well. Alright, now this one was another cool looking model. This is their Monster Hunter figure. So he's got his yukata on there and very much a Japanese anime inspired look. He's got his drinking gourd, he's got a smoking pipe, he's got a bristly beard and a tetsubo or kanabo or whatever you want to call the big, usually metal or stone clubs that you would bash somebody's head in with. I like the pipe too. I think that's a cool touch. I'm looking forward to painting this guy. Very much kind of like an Oni hunter maybe. How does he stack up? So all the bodies at least seem to be pretty consistent in scale so far. I'm going to grab a couple of other... Do I own any other dwarf models? I'm going to have to go scrounge around in the garage and cabinets and see if I have any other dwarves to get a good comparison. And finally, this should be their samurai dwarf, yeah. Because, yeah, I can't resist samurai and Japanese themed stuff. Seeing as that's where my wife and her family are from. Anyway, like so. So, pretty nicely cast. Not a lot that's going to need cleanup. I almost thought that that was an extra piece of flash, and I think it's actually supposed to be that his sword is on his belt. Oh, you know what it is? I think he's supposed to be reaching behind him. Like so. Yeah, that seems more accurate. We'll figure that out. So I do like the fact that they are not too many parts and not too many tiny parts. That's always a plus. I'm going to try putting these guys together, and I will see if I can find any dwarves to hang out with them. What do you guys say? Let's give it a shot. Alright, we got our dwarf friends finished up. They were all pretty easy to build, not really any major issues. One real little niggling problem that I had was that his drinking gourd on our kind of Yojimbo looking monster hunter guy here didn't fit quite exactly, and that could just be me, that I didn't angle it in right, or it could have just been that, you know, the impression that it's supposed to sit in is a little bit larger, but I don't think that's going to have much impact, especially after painting. I think he's probably my favorite of the bunch, just very characterful. Sadly, I wanted to grab some Rackham models, but I don't seem to own any anymore, which is a odd thing. So I grabbed a couple of Reaper models and a couple GW ones just to give you guys a idea of how big these guys are. And I know they're on the little broccoli bases that Reaper likes to include, but you can see that proportion-wise, I mean, they're about the same height, but the heads on our Durgin Paint Forge friends here are much bigger, pronounced. I don't want to say comical, but I guess like more heroic scale. They do seem to prescribe to the old Rackham model of giant heads and tiny bodies, whereas our Reaper friends here are a little bit more realistically proportioned. So we'll slide those off. And by the way, they didn't have any bases included. I don't know if that was just an error on my part. I know that in the Kickstarters, both Kickstarters they've done, they've included scenic bases, so I'm assuming that's why. But, you know, it's not like I don't have a million billion bases anyway. Our Akuma-styled friend here, I just noticed, had a bunch of little birds sitting all around him. He's got one on his shoulder, one by his feet, one on his shoulder there. Oh, there was another on his cape, but that cape of his is going to be an issue until I get him glued to a base. So once he's started painting, we'll do that. Grabbed a couple other random models just to get a good sense of scale. Here's an old Keltos dwarf. Here's a Malifaux. What are these? Witchling handlers, hunters, witch hunters, witch finders. I don't know. And the Dreamer. So again, size-wise, fit in pretty well. And grabbed a couple of modern GW dwarves, as those are the only dwarves I really have. And sadly, I think these guys are much larger, but I think they actually fit in a little bit better with the GW guys. Especially, I think our Fire Slayers are a good indication. While the proportions of the head and the body are a little bit different, I think stylistically they fit in pretty well with the kind of over-the-top modern fantasy aesthetic that GW's got going on. So yeah, these guys, they look like they can hang, especially with the modern dwarf crews. So again, these are from Durgin Paint Forge. I will leave a link down in the description there below. Check them out. Check out their Kickstarter. I'm sure they're going to have late pledges available. Very interesting time periods that they've got going on there. And I got to say, I'm pretty happy with the overall quality. Prices weren't unbelievably high, and I know they're dwarves and all, but you know how resin companies like to be with those prices. And you can see that there's a lot of effort put into the sculpts to make them each really individually unique models. So hopefully you guys will take a look and enjoy them as much as I have building them and looking forward to painting them. This has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures saying thanks for watching, and check out some of our other videos. See you all later. Bye-bye.